that if he is emotionally invested in another female, that to me is cheating and would break my heart. And I just couldn't deal with that. But he can have sex with whoever he wants, and that is not cheating to me.
Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
For anyone out there that would like to be a guest on our show, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us an email and we'll get back to you.
Today, we're speaking to a woman who reached out to us, and in her email, she wrote, "To put it bluntly, I get off on my husband sleeping with other women. There are different types of this fetish, but the form I have specifically is called hot husbanding." So never heard of this before, but we've got the guests on the line, so we're going to find out everything about it. And thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Can you define hot husbanding for us?
Sure. So like I had said in the email, there are different forms of this fetish. So this kind of like the one that really got me interested or wondering about it is called, I don't know if you've heard of it before, a cuckold. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so that's the male version, but that is specifically about being like humiliated or embarrassed or whatever. The female version of that is called a cuqueen. And at first I thought that's what the term was for me. But then I realized that I'm not like submissive or really trying to be humiliated or any of that. So then with further research, I figured out that it's actually called hot husbanding. So that leads me into that. Sorry about that. The hot husbanding is where basically the female or myself, I like to encourage my husband to find women to sleep with or have sex with. And I need to know the details, like every single detail. I'm not really interested in watching. I have before and it was, nice, but it's not the big ultimate goal. Hot husbanding is where the man gets to have sex with other women and the wife is kind of involved, but not really, if that makes sense.
So what is your involvement? You just get to hear about the details?
Yeah, so my involvement specifically for us is that I sort of help him find, if it's somebody he knows, I'll help with the texting or encouraging it along. I have the rules, of course, that we are supposed to abide by. And then the other parts that I'm involved in is really just, hearing about it and giving him the permission, mostly.
So what are these rules?
So the rules are that there has to be protection used. It can't be someone that he knows really well, meaning that it can't be like a really good friend or a coworker or something that's going to get us in trouble. Let's see, what other rules are there? He has to ask for permission first. I have to know like where he's at, where he's going, all that kind of stuff. So he has the freedom to sleep with the person, but I have to be involved in knowing the details, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow. I think we assume that you would be involved in the sex or watching. So that's interesting that he's sort of going out and doing this on his own. So can you describe what the pleasure is for you in this dynamic?
Yeah. So there's actually a term for, I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head, but where you find joy or pleasure from someone else's happiness. And that could be anything. It doesn't have to be sexual. It could be, you just are happy someone, has gotten a new promotion, but you genuinely feel that joy and pleasure for them in that sense. So for me, it is that. I get the joy out of knowing that he is being pleasured by someone else or that he is pleasuring someone else. And then, of course, when I hear all the details, we can, interact with each other and have sex. And sometimes we'll like act out, I guess is what you would call it, what happened between him and this other person. So that's kind of what I get out of it. It's a very selfless thing, I feel, because I'm not interested in sleeping with other men. I don't do this at all. Not part of, like, I'm not on the other end of this as one who sleeps around and has permission and all of that. I don't even want that. It's just something out of him pleasuring another woman that really does it for me.
And is there a component of this where it's like you want him to film it so you could watch it, or are you just like hearing about it and hearing like the stories, I guess, behind the interaction? Like you want to know all the details?
Yeah, I mean, I would like if he would record it, but it's so because of this type of fetish, it's not something that happens like all the time because most women are not into sleeping with a married man or are afraid that there's going to be issues, So the last thing we want to do after even getting this person comfortable with the idea of it is to be like, by the way, we're going to record, that's not something that they're very open to a lot of the times. So yeah, no, most of the time it is just me hearing about it.
And do you have a preference with looks of the women that he sleeps with?
Not necessarily. He and I have a very similar taste in women, and I'm not a lesbian or, bi or anything like that. So I'm not like sexually attracted to other women, but I can appreciate a woman's nice body, or if she's pretty or, whatever. We'll be walking around out in public and I'll just be like, dang, look at this girl, and I'll point out a female that looks nice and has like the same kind of features that he and I both find attractive. But for the most part, no, he's able to pick who he feels is attractive in his way, because it's important for him to be able to be aroused by this person. It's not my taste, it's what he finds attractive enough to actually be aroused.
And you said it doesn't happen too often, but like how often would you say that this happens? Is it like once a month or once every 2 months or a couple times a year?
So the first time it happened, I would say, well, when I say first time, I should say first female. It happened like once a month for a few months, and then she moved away. And then there was another one who, it was like once a month for probably a good 6 months or something like that. And then after that person, which I'm sure we'll get into later, it has not happened in a while.
You just made this so mysterious.
Wait, because you pointed out like the first female. Was there men involved?
No. I just don't know how to refer to them without giving their name. So I just
got it.
Okay.
Yeah, we were like, oh, this is becoming something else now.
Okay. Oof. So can we talk about that first time? Is this something that you proposed or something that your husband proposed?
Well, it had been something we talked about quite a lot. So I think I told you in my email, my husband and I have been together since high school, sophomore year of high school. So we literally grew up together. So in high school, like him dancing sexually with another girl, it was like nice. It got some feelings from that. But then when we moved out of our homes together and all that, went off to college, it was a while before anything even got brought up again. So the first time it was a coworker, which shouldn't have been, but it was a coworker. And I was actually out of town on a girls' trip with my sister. And he calls me and he says, hey, I'm out with some friends, girl from work, blah, blah, blah. He explains it, right? She's interested. And I'm like, yeah, you're a free man tonight. Do what you want to do. So he had my permission. And unfortunately, it was in the back seat of a car, which is uncomfortable. But yeah, that's kind of how the first time went, was in a parking lot in the back seat of a car.
Huh. So why, so if that was like the first time it was brought up in a very long time, so you were, I mean, clearly he's calling you and telling you like, hey, it'd be cool if I could have sex with this girl. So he had to have known that you would be at least open to the idea, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because we had talked about it for a very long time,
Got it.
like many years. Yeah.
So people, you said like this one girl was like once a month for like 6 months. Is that usually the case, or is it kind of one and done sort of thing?
It depends. It really, really depends on the situation. The one girl that was a couple of months, she was a single mom. And so any chance she got away, basically had a weekend without her kids or something like that, then it would, if the schedules collided correctly, then we would do so. But there has been some in the past where it's not something that is continual, then yeah, it's just a pick up one night stand type of thing, but with rules.
Okay. So when this started happening in your relationship, were you always comfortable with it, or was there ever any insecurities that came up, or even worry that you had that, maybe he catches feelings for someone?
Mm-hmm. So the first time that I really realized that I had this, as I said before, was in high school, whenever I really enjoyed knowing that he was dirty dancing, or, even if he made out with another girl. And I was surprised by that because being so young, a teen female, most of the time are very, very jealous people. And then I found out that he had slept with another girl without my permission. And then for a while I shut down, and I was like, okay, so I guess I do get angry about it or jealous about it if it is done behind my back, essentially, without my permission. That to me is cheating. If he has permission, that's not cheating. If he does it without my permission, then to me, that is, he has been unfaithful and we have an issue. So yeah, it happened in high school. So to answer your question, basically the first time that I found out he had slept with someone else behind my back, I was really upset, and we didn't do anything about it for a couple more years.
Okay. And how would you describe your own sex life?
Well, I being together as long as we have, I feel that we are the average. I'm not going to say that, we're bunnies and do it every day. Probably once or twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not looking for sex from another woman. It's a fun thing to do when it works out, but it's not like, in fact, he's not against it. That would sound bad if I said he's against it. Most husbands would be like, heck yeah, like, I'm gonna go out as much as I can and like do this. But with him, he's more like, I'm happy, I'm satisfied with our sex life. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, I'm not worried. That's kind of how he stands on it.
Mm-hmm. And you would say that you both are pretty satisfied with your current sex life?
Yeah, definitely.
And this is just something that's been introduced into the mix to
Spice it up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Add a new element. Okay. Wow. Can you describe I guess you talked about the pleasure that you got from hearing about this, and then sometimes you'd even have sex to reenact it, which is interesting, to reenact sex that your husband just had with another person. So can you walk us through what that looks like? Like, he comes back from being with another woman, and how much detail is shared? What's that conversation? What does it ultimately lead to?
Absolutely. So a lot of times it's not like he comes back from sleeping with her and then we immediately go to bed and, do this. We have a conversation. We talk about, like, what did he enjoy the most out of it? Where, what was her body that he liked about it? And, he just kind of like talks about the encounter. And then the next time that we have the chance, we will, for the most part, he'll tell me, like, maybe during, like, oh yeah, I did this with her and let me show you this. And it's more of, I guess part of it would be a little private, because I don't need to know, like, what super, super detailed, like, what color her pubic hair or anything like that was. It's not like that. It's more of just what really got him off and what really turned her on. That's that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, we would just kind of talk about it. And then if we don't discuss it during the sex with each other, then knowing the details, I can play that in my head as we're doing our thing.
Yeah.
Are you able to do something like this?
No. Not
If
at
you
all.
wanted to?
Well, no, that's the thing. It's a fetish of mine. He's like, even just the thought of me sleeping with another man makes him physically nauseous. He's like, I could not do that. I don't have that type of, fetish. And I understand that. Plus I just don't have the interest to, so no, even if I did, it wouldn't happen. No.
If you're looking for nutritious and flavorful meals to fuel you during your jam-packed days, then look no further than Factor. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. And they've got you covered for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with dietitian-approved, chef-prepared, ready-to-eat meals. These also get shipped straight to your door, so you are good to go. No more trips to the grocery store. It saves a ton of time, and honestly, it's what I've been eating all week, and they are delicious. Every week, you can choose from over 35 chef-prepared recipes, so huge variety. You're not always eating the same thing. I've been loving it. Their chicken dishes have been awesome. I had a pork dish that was amazing. Also, I've got their smoothies, so they're fruit smoothies, and they also have protein shakes. And I've been honestly addicted to these things. I grab them to go. They've been an awesome snack, and they're delicious. And I care about what I eat. And they have a lot of calorie-conscious meals, things that can still fit into a healthy lifestyle, or if you have workout goals and you're trying to get fit, stay fit, whatever your situation is, they can really tailor it for you, which is something that I love. By the way, these are fresh and never frozen, and these meals are ready in 2 minutes. Like literally pop it in 2 minutes. It has not been frozen. I'm obsessed with that. That's been hard to find for me, something that is fresh in that way and has the variety of recipes and actually tastes good. So that's why I just seriously, this is what I'm eating, I'm telling you. And you can head to factormeals.com/OPL50 and use code OPL50 to get 50% off. That's code OPL50 at factormeals.com/OPL50 and get 50% off. Okay, interesting. Wow. Okay. I'm still getting over the fact that you're not involved at all with other women, that he's just going out. I'm just thinking of rules too. Is he allowed to kiss and get as intimate as possible? Or are there rules around what he's able to do sexually?
No, he can just do whatever he wants to with it. He just can't develop emotional feelings for this person, which I don't have any issues with him doing. I don't think he would ever have that. So that's not a big deal. But as far as making out or how they go about it, no, it's natural. Do his thing, however he feels the most pleasured or turned on, however she feels the most pleasured or turned on. It's free reign, basically.
Do you know anyone else who kind of does this sort of thing, or do your friends know that you guys kind of partake in this?
I have a few friends that know, and they don't judge, but they definitely are like, you're crazy. How are you okay with this? I could never. But I don't know anyone on a personal level. Of course, with any type of thing like this, any type of fetish, there are groups, or there are, I don't know if you call them support groups, that you can look or kind of be involved in. So I'm on Facebook groups and, talk about it and stuff and those types of things. But no, not anybody on a personal level.
And has there ever been a time where you were uncomfortable with this or no?
Good question.
Or even
I
like
think
a certain girl or something where it just didn't feel the same?
yes. So there was one night where I was at home, and instead of him coming home from work first, he went out immediately. And I was like sitting at home by myself. And I was just a moment, I was like, all right, what is happening right now? He didn't come home from work. I'm just sitting here all by myself while my husband's out, and then he came home and we talked about it. And then I got the pleasure I needed out of that. So it was a brief uncomfortableness, I guess.
That's interesting, but it sort of ties back to the time that you consider cheating. It seems like you're pretty loose with all of this, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's sort of a desire for just a certain amount of control of, permission and kind of knowing the steps that are going to be taken. And if that gets broken, then it feels different than the arrangement that you guys have agreed on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So, a lot of people find it crazy that I have this viewpoint, but people that aren't in this type of fetish. But anyways, in my opinion, that if he is emotionally invested in another female, that to me is cheating and would break my heart. And I just couldn't deal with that. But he can have sex with whoever he wants to, and that is not cheating to me as long as he has the permission.
So I want to ask you, because I think that a lot of people feel this way, where they think that, it's sort of a slippery slope, like sex could lead to those feelings. And you're saying like you don't want him to have those feelings. That would be devastating. Why is it that you think that sex is not sort of this gateway to a more intimate relationship? And like, why are you able to separate those two things? Or do you believe those things are completely separate? Because like I said, most people would feel like, well, if you're letting someone have sex with other people, then the chances of them falling for someone else are extremely higher. Like, do you have a difference of opinion there?
So, yeah, I, as a female, do believe that it can be separate. To me, sex is sex and love is love. You can do them separate. And a lot of people, like you said, don't agree with that. So I can understand where there would be some like, okay, but I don't understand how this works out whenever there's nothing but sexual there. But that is something that he and I have discussed extensively. And I just trust him. And he's also not someone who just like loves freely. I just know it in my bones that this man is in love with me and would not want with anyone else. So I don't have a fear of him falling in love with another woman. I do wonder about him having another woman fall in love with him. Obviously, I don't want someone to get hurt. So that is one of the rules, is that you have to make sure that whoever it is not someone that you know on a personal level that will find this as another level to get to know you more, to have that potential.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Is any part of the pleasure you get within that sort of power dynamic of, okay, well, he just had sex with this woman, but he came home to me. He loves me. He's my husband. Like, we live a life together. Okay.
Of course. Yes, absolutely. It's like being chosen. I don't know if chosen is the right word. I don't know. It's like, I am so special to him that it doesn't matter what he does in that regard. He still wants me. He still comes home to me. And we do have a daughter, and she doesn't know about any of this, obviously. But to know that he has that, and then he comes home to his wife and his child and his home. And, it is very, very satisfying to me that, okay, I get to be that special, I guess.
Okay. And because of that dynamic and how you're able to separate sex from love, there's just no worry or care that you have that he might enjoy sex more, that a woman he's with might pleasure him more in a specific way. Like, is that something that you guys discuss? Do you almost want him to go out and have the best sex possible?
I don't know if I would say the best possible, but part of it is him getting that pleasure in any way possible sexually. So if And I will be honest, like there's really not a whole lot off limits between him and I when we are intimate together. So whatever someone else does for him, we've probably already done. But if he enjoys it with another person more, it doesn't bother me. It's like, oh, that's cool that you got to experience that with someone else and enjoyed it a lot. Like, that's fine with me.
Okay. And if someone did something that he had never done with you, do you think that would bother you? If he was like, I don't know, I'm just throwing out an example, like, oh, she pegged me or something and I really enjoyed it. Or I don't know, or she like licked the back of my kneecaps and no one's ever touched that part of my body. I don't know. That's just a terrible example.
No, that's fine. I get what you're saying, and it would not bother me at all. Actually, I would find that very interesting and fun. And I don't know if this would make a good comparison, but I almost feel like it would be, say he goes on a date and it's not for sexual reasons. And he doesn't do this. This is an example. And he were to go out on a date with someone and they decided to go skydiving. And I would never do that. Like, that's not my thing. So they go skydiving together and he loves it. He enjoys it. When he comes back to me and he's like, yeah, we went skydiving. It's so cool. I'd be like, dang, that's awesome. Good for you. I'm so happy that happened for you. So on the same level of that, being that it's just something so innocent and whatever, it's kind of like that with me in the sexual stuff. Like, if he comes back and something so crazy happened and he enjoyed it, I'm like, yes, good for you. Like, super excited for him. It doesn't bother me at all.
And I mean, it sounds like from this conversation, you guys have been together since high school. And did it start kind of when you were saying like the dancing or whatever? Was that like the first time that you started having these feelings of like, oh, I actually like hearing and watching sort of him be desired by somebody else?
Yes. So I did find it very odd that when he would go out with some friends to a club or something, and in my mind, I'm picturing him dancing dirty with another woman or female, well, teenager, whatever you want to call it at the time. It really did get me like, wow, this is, I don't know what's happening here, but I like this. This is a good image. And then I sort of shut it down because I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, I should be very upset. I should be very jealous. But then I expressed to him, mind if you dance with other women, like, just tell me about it. But we were in high school, so it was very like basic stuff. You know what I'm saying? But then,
is this something that you will like continue to do? Like, this is like, is also, I kind of want to compare it to like your own sex life. Like how, where does this kind of measure up to that? Like, is this like your ultimate fetish? Like, this is what ultimately like really gets you going. And you say that you think about it when you're having sex with your husband. So like, is this kind of like your biggest turn on, is hearing about these things and your husband sleeping with other people?
absolutely. Yes. No, I mean, that's not to say that every time we have sex together that I'm thinking of him being with another woman. That's not
Right.
That's just like an extra fun thing that sometimes I imagine or whatever. We've talked about it. But it's not like the whole premise of us being together sexually. Mm-hmm. It's just that sometimes comes into play. Yeah, basically that is the ultimate for me. I'm not like necessarily into feet and all that. So it's not like that. This is the one thing that yes, this turns me on. This is what I want. And I don't care about any other fetish.
Yeah, no, it's cool to hear, and it's cool to hear how much you guys have communicated around this and how comfortable you both are with the dynamic. My last question, do you guys ever plan on sharing this with your daughter when she's a certain age or no?
We really haven't talked about that. She's only 11 right now, so it's definitely something that we're keeping to ourselves. When she's like an older adult, maybe if we're like, yeah, you're gonna go out on a date with this woman, that's gonna be weird to her. So maybe, but I don't know that we'll share sexual stuff with her. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And did you say that he doesn't go out on dates? Like, that's not a thing?
No, unless it's to pick someone up. So, for instance, there was a time that he did go out with some friends, and he wasn't going out for a date, but he was out with some friends and he was picking a woman up, if that makes sense. But it wasn't some date, hey, let's go out and have dinner and like, stuff like that. It was specifically he was already out with friends. And if he finds someone that he's interested in and they'll be willing to go home with him, then, well, if I'm not home. There's only been one time where he's brought the person here while I was here. And that time I was involved. Otherwise, he either goes to them or I'm not home.
Okay. All right.
Got it.
And so this is something that you guys plan on doing for the rest of the time. Like if you guys end up in a nursing home together when you're like 85, you'll be sending him to another room to go sleep with some nice old lady.
Maybe we will move to the Villages. Do you know about the Villages?
What is that?
No. Is it like an old person sex commune or something?
Oh, Lord. Okay. So in Florida, there's a place called Villages, and they are known for being horny old people and a nice older people community. And I mean, it's pretty big. Like they've got restaurants and all kinds of stuff in there, but these older people go and retire and live there. And it's like, you wouldn't even understand. Just Google it. Just Google the Villages of Florida, and you will see so much stuff about these old people just sleeping around like
Good for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's ultimate goal, I think, for an old person. So maybe that's what we'll do. Oh.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us today about this. I'm sure it's, a lot of people are probably listening like, no shot I would ever do this. But there's a lot of episodes we do where people, wouldn't do that certain thing. But it has been interesting to hear your perspective on it. So we appreciate you coming on and being so honest and talking to us about it today.
Thank you. I appreciate having this opportunity, and I'll continue to listen every day while I'm cleaning. I listen to you guys. So I'm super happy that I got a chance to be on here with you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
What are you going to do, man? Woman likes her husband getting fucked and sucked.
He's got to do it.
He's got to
please his wife.
for his wife.
Come on. Would you be able to?
I think eventually, but like I don't know.
Yeah. It's tough. You want to be like, yeah, of course.
But at the same time, I'm a sensitive little bitch too. So like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I feel like, they've been together since they're in high school. So the fact that this was like buried in her, like she liked it, and they have an 11-year-old daughter, like they've been together forever.
Yeah.
So like, since it's buried in there, and then like you've been together for that long, and he's not into it. I mean, he's indulging.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm sure he's into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure he's okay with it. Yeah, I mean, good for her. I mean, I think it's interesting because there's not a lot of women in the world that would feel that way. That'd be like, this is what kind of gets me off. I like it. And also I don't want to even step out or do anything like that. I don't even want to be really involved most of the time.
Just come home and tell me about it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
right? That's kind of wild.
But yeah, but it's cool because it's it's her fetish, but it's a fetish that's exclusive to her partner because they've been together so long.
Yeah.
Like, not saying that she wouldn't have the same fetish if she was with, a different person, but like, this is the only person she knows.
Honestly, it also sounds like this was born out of like, cause she was like, I'm so certain that this dude loves me and like, whatever, like if that aspect doesn't exist, then maybe this doesn't, she doesn't really indulge in it, but she seems to be very comfortable with their relationship, and she's able to kind of separate sex and love, it sounds like, or just she has a, I mean, clearly they both can do it, but like, she has she clearly it's a different thing for her, which it's not for other people. But I mean, fuck it. I mean, it's your fetish. Do your thing. You want to suck a toe or you want your husband to fuck people? Either way, do your thing. It's kind of like, it's kind of what it is.
All I know is she said dirty dancing like 10 times. This dude was just grinding.
Yeah,
at the
what
high
is
school
that?
Dance.
Yeah, guys, like what Ricky Martin, just like fucking going crazy.
I want to see this guy dance, to be honest.
Yeah, he sounds like a great dancer. But for anyone out there who would like to be a guest on our show, hit us up. Email us oplpodcast@gmail.com. send us an email. We'll get back to you.
Yeah, even if it's between seasons, we're always recording. So just send that email. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok at OPL Podcast. You could support at patreon.com/OPL show. And that is all.
See you guys next time.